Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to this, I would say, one of the last videos I'm planning to do for this 2020. And as some of you already asked me in the comments of the previous videos, will I do a campaign with Italy? The answer is yes. And but before that, I promised to many of you that I would have done a kind of guide on how to play Italy. So bear in mind that I did play Italy back in the old days when the Italian focus tree was still, let's say, outdated. And this guide is made for the regular difficulty with no, let's say, other changes. Maybe the only one would be the better in-game performance. I really like it. And I'm just playing in higher mode, let's say not in Iron Man mode, just to avoid having a to set up a save game here now. So Italy, it's, I would say, one of the most difficult countries that you can play in the Total War mod, which is exactly the opposite of the vanilla game, where I think Italy is one of the easiest countries that you can play with. So in 1936, Italy is at war with Ethiopia. The balance of forces is, I would say, pretty much in your favor. And let's say, very briefly, against Ethiopia, you can just set up two armies, one in the north, one in the south. You can reinforce what I like to do. Well, what I liked to do when I was playing Italy as part of the multiplayer session of the Total War mode was to send my 5 mountaineers, the Alpini divisions, down in Ethiopia together with most of my infantry armies. And yeah, that's because I wanted to make sure that I had let's say a numerical superiority against the Ethiopians. And since I'm talking about the Ethiopian Ethiopian war, the goal of this war is to milk and farm as much army experience as possible, as you will need this army experience to reshape the composition of the Italian divisions. So let's have a look now at Italy itself. It's the weakest, I would say, of the European powers, because you only have 127 factories. Amongst them, 55 are civilians, 53 are militaries, and you have 19 naval dockyards. Italy controls Libya, Sicily, the Dodecanese, and Sardinia. You are in the middle of the Mediterranean. You control the central Mediterranean, but Malta. Italy has, in terms of navy, a relatively okayish navy. You have 4 battleships, 8 heavy cruisers, 11 light cruisers, 80 destroyers, and 51 submarines in total. In terms of airplanes, Italy starts with 96 close air support, 320 fighters, 72 naval bombers, no heavy fighters, 320 tactical bombers, no strategic nor transport planes. The reason why Italy is weak, it's because, well, first of all, you do not have a large manpower pool. I mean, Germany, I think, it starts with 1.7, 1.8 million of troops. Here you only have 1.13. It's not really much. Your stability and war support are not really that high. You really have to work hard on this one, also because you are at war. And let's say, it has historically happened, Italy is crippled. Italy is crippled by a lot of negative modifiers. Now, the goal of this, let's say, guide, which I don't know, I'd say in terms of length, how long it will be, is not to give you a step-by-step what you have to do, what you don't have to do, where to move, where not to go. It's just to give you an overview of what I think could be a nice strategy to, let's say, to make Italy victorious once again. So you start with this Italian leadership, which you have the Italian leadership, which yeah, it reflects the mentality of our generals and our leadership. Mussolini decided to surround himself by loyalists instead of competent troops, and this is reflected by these negative modifiers in terms of planning speed, offense, defense, ground support, stuff like that. The Italian leadership is, I think, very well coupled with this fedeltà prima di tutto, this loyalty first of all, loyalty before everything, and which really hampers the research speed of your land, naval, and air doctrine. I personally do not like this modifier because already land doctrines takes shit ton of time to research, and with this it will take even longer. You have the poor Air Force and Navy coordination. This is really true. I mean, one of the reasons why Italians lost the war was because of the excessively complex, let's say, command chain between the Italian Royal Navy and the Italian Royal Air Force. I mean, as soon as, let's say, a recon plane was spotting a British convoy in this region, then the message had to go back to Rome to the to the Air Force High Command. Then the Air Force would transmit the order to the to Supermarina, so the Navy High Command, and then the Navy High Command would send out the orders to, okay, maybe it's time to send in some ships, or vice versa. As soon as some ships needed some air support, vice versa, the orders were flowing up to the chain of command, then down again to the local air force. And usually what happened is that by the time the Italian aircraft arrived on the scene, the battle was already over, or even worse, the Italian aircrafts could even attack their own ships. So yeah, and this poor Air Force Navy coordination is, I think it really nicely represents this. You have this minus 10% in naval mission efficiency, minus 15 in naval bombing, naval agility, and again minus 10% in sortie efficiency. You have this quota 90. I'm not really expert in the economy during fascist Italy, but still, this minus 50% of construction speed is something that you want to get rid of as soon as possible. You have the London Naval Treaty, it's okay, and then you have the lack of power. And let's say the worst, let's say, modifier of this lack of power is this minus 25% of air research speed. Wow, that's a lot. So, what to do in order to get rid of these, let's say, national spirits, these modifiers? You need to pick some focuses, of course. And as you can see, the Italian focus tree in the Total War mode is massive. This is gigantic. I think this is the best, I really say the best focus tree, I would say, yeah, of the game. I mean, yeah, I cannot, I mean, of course, the Soviet, I love the Soviet one, I love the German one, but this one is really impressive. You have the Italian Royal Navy, Royal Air Force, Royal Army. Here you can choose between whether you want to stick with the traditional doctrines or you want to go crazy with some new things like armored units. Here you have the political and expansion section. Here you have the African section. You have the economical branch, the national governmental branch, and here you have some alternate history that I don't really, I will not talk about this because we want to stick to the historical branches. To get rid of these modifiers, so I personally, what I would like to do first is to try to get rid of this quota 90, because this factory output and dockyard output is really hampering your production. And to relieve quota 90, what you have to do is, exactly, I love this new search function, is to go down the economical branch, and I would go with let's say the left hand side here, just because the banking reform gives you this -8% of consumer good factories compared to the cooperative experiment. I think that historically this was the historical branch that was chosen, but I would go with this one just because you get, compared to quota 90, you get -4% in total of consumer good factories, while with the corporate experiment you only get -2%. And yeah, here you also get plus 20% of political power gain, while here only 10%. And I mean, this focus takes almost double the amount of time, but I think it's worth the investment. And since we're talking about focus trees, again, I said that at the beginning I don't want to tell you what to do, what not to do. There are, however, in my opinion, some focuses that needs to be taken. The one, as I said, dealing with the economical aspect of the country. Then you have the one about the lack of this comes later, the lack of power, which I think is one of these engines. I would personally maybe go with I don't know. You have to choose here. I would go with, I think the historical option is the German engine complex, because this is what really happened in 1942. We just I mean, not we, but the other Italians living at the time, they just purchased Bf 109 engines to install on their own fighters. And besides the lack of power and quota 90, one other focus tree that you should take to get rid of this modifier is the Navy and Air Force coordination. I mean, I will explain soon why is this, but if you have time, I would really go for it. This is a bit tricky because it requires quite a bit of Navy and air experience, and you have to be at war for sure. But yeah, I think it's a good investment if you could get rid of this modifier. And the last one is loyalty. First of all, is, I think, the hardest one, because you have to go down this branch, confront the old guard, and you have to wait until January 1943 in order to take this focus. And there is one additional focus that you should definitely take, but that will require a lot of investment from your side, and is the Mare Nostrum. Mare Nostrum was an old Roman saying about the Mediterranean Sea. The Romans declared the Mediterranean Sea as Mare Nostrum, which means our sea. And the reason why you want to take this focus as soon as possible, every focus should be taken as soon as possible, but this is because it gives you this very nice national spirit, Mare Nostrum, which grants this very juicy bonus, especially this daily political power gain plus 0.15, this supply consumption -5%, that's really incredible. And yeah, counterintelligence plus 0.10. And yeah, as you can see, in order to take the Mare Nostrum, you need to have at least 3 aircraft carriers or at least 16 capital ships. And with capital ships, I think the game wins. You need to have at least 16 battleships or 16, I don't think heavy cruisers are considered as capital ships. Now, how do you reach the focus Mare Nostrum, and how do you, let's say, try to prepare your country for war? So first of all, my strategy would be to focus on the economical aspect But as an original focus, I would not take lower the quota, but I would rather take the Regia Marina, the Italian Royal Navy, because this focus gives you 50% research bonus for ships, and you want to take this focus because one of the things that you want to research for Italy is the super heavy battleship hull. Now it takes 506 days to research because it's 1 year ahead of time. If you invest in this focus and then you research this, it will only take 348 days. I tried it already and it works. And the reason why you want to have this super heavy battleship hull is because you want to gain control of the Mediterranean. Let's say after the Regia Marina focus, I would go with the economical path. I would go on the lower the quota, banking reform, and then I would go with the arms industry. And here you have to decide. When I played the multiplayer session, I decided to focus exclusively on the Navy because the idea was that Germany would have supplied me with arms and guns. In single player, I don't think that the AIs will ever give you anything basically, so it's really up to you. But I would really go for developing the super heavy battleship, and then I would stick to the right hand side of the economical branch of the focus tree. Also because you want to reach this focus, the University of Trieste, as soon as possible, because having one extra research slot can really make a huge difference. And talking about research, well, what can you or what you should research with Italy? So Italy starts, let's say, with okayish infantry research. You have mountain warfare. You don't have sniper teams. You don't have the basic submachine gun teams. It's kind of okay. In terms of support battalions, you have almost everything what you need. I would not invest in signal companies. So I never tried them, and I don't know how useful they really are in the total war mode. If you guys tried them already, just let me know, and I may change my opinion about them. But in terms of, let's say, support battalions, the most important ones for Italy are for sure the logistics company. Expect to fight in North Africa, and yeah, get ready to face a lot of supplies issues if you're not, let's say, if you do not plan your movements ahead. I would like to go with logistics company, recon company, engineers, maybe the flamethrower squad for the extra attack, especially against fortified areas, pontoon bridges, maybe in case you have to cross rivers or perform amphibious invasions. And military police I don't think is needed. Maintenance company, I think it could be a good investment, especially for the reliability modifier. Tanks, it can be discussed. It really depends on your strategy. Since I still have to really play effectively as Italy, my plan is really to invest a lot in armor, because I would like to go with innovative theories with Messe, the modern Cellulare division, the fast division, because this is, let's say, the goal of the African war. The African war will be just a matter of speed and mobility. You want to reach the El Alamein and Katara depression as soon as possible. So let's see, I'm tempted to develop the medium tank branch of Italy, but I really don't know. Artillery, I would stick with the light artillery. There is no need, I think, to develop the medium or the heavy artillery branch. That's because you just cannot supply them in North Africa, so just stick to the artillery branch. And I would also go with the anti-tank upgrades. Let's say, in terms of land doctrines, there are actually, I would say, two choices for Italy. If you plan to play a, let's say, an historical-like game, so you want to stick with the old guard and blah blah blah, you want to go with the Grand Battleplan Doctrine, and you go on the right hand side of the infiltration branch. If you, let's say, plan to go with the tank fast army, you could even try to go with the left hand side branch of the assault Grand Battleplan section. Although what I would like to try with Italy is to go, with the mobile warfare. And as in my mind, I was planning to use quite some motorized troops. My idea would be to go with the mobile infantry, just to give them some more organization and some more speed, basically. Navy. So one of the I will switch back and forth between research and military aspects. One of the goal of Italy is to really take control of the Mediterranean. This is the only way through which you can ensure that your troops will be very well supplied, and vice versa. You will cripple the supplies of the enemy units, especially in the eastern Mediterranean. So in terms of naval forces, besides what I told you at the beginning about the super heavy battleships, I would focus on super heavy battleships, on carriers, and on light cruisers. When I was playing the multiplayer session, the guys told me to rush for the 9041 light cruiser hull and then just spam these. This is possible if you, let's say, focus the Regia Marina, that gives you 50% research bonuses for ship. You have this modernization attempt, which also gives you it reduces ahead of time penalty by half years and gives a 50% research bonus valid for either the light cruiser models or the heavy cruiser models. So that's quite nice, I must say. And yeah, so light cruisers, super heavy battleship, and then carriers. Submarines are nice, but I would not invest too much into them. Actually, I would not invest in them at all. Just to build a large surface fleet and light cruisers as your escorts. Naval Doctrines, you start already with the fleet in being, and I would really stick with that, because when I was planning my Italian campaign in multiplayer, my idea was to develop this branch of the fleet in being doctrine, just to increase the organization and let's say firepower of my battleship. Talking about firepower, do not forget to improve the medium batteries, the light, medium, and heavy batteries for your ships, as well as to develop these technologies that will really help you in dealing with the enemy fleet. Yeah, so Air Force. Here is, let's say, one of the most critical aspect of the whole campaign. So in multiplayer, we agreed between the Axis powers that Japan would have just gave the Italians the famous Zero fighter planes for carriers. In single player, just forget about it. Really, forget about it. And as such, you have to invest on your own in this. So I would not start researching the Air Force because of this insane minus 25% research speed. Once you've managed to get rid of this by going down this focus, so it's 35, 21, and then you have, let's say, 35, that here you have to wait 1 year. Here you have to be in the faction with the Reich, and yeah, so actually I was, since I didn't see that, now I think I have to eat my own words. I would rather go with the with the left hand side, with the G50, and then the Bombardieri, the bombers, and then domestic engine production. Yeah, I think that's the fastest way to get rid of this malus. And once you got rid of it, with Italy, I would really focus on 3 branches: the close air support, the light fighter, and the naval bombers. Forget heavy fighters, forget the tactical, the strategic, and the transport planes. You just don't have the industrial capacity to research it. And I was also already thinking again, sorry, this is just all improvised based on numbers and my very bad math skills. So ideally, if you want, you can invest in researching the aircraft doctrines, because I mean, so 25%, yeah, so it's a bit buggish. I mean, it's not buggish, but it's annoying. But I was looking at the numbers. I mean, yeah, 208 days, it's actually quite a lot. So, I mean, guys, I have to try it. I need to carefully plan my to pick and to do list with Italy, and for sure, yeah, I will try to give you a more detailed approach on how to research the aircraft branch. Doctrine-wise, I personally like to go with the battlefield support, because true, you will need a strong navy to secure the Mediterranean, but in the end, what really matters is the control of the air. And control of the air means providing your troops with the adequate support from the sky, with which you can overcome the enemy, hopefully, and perform a successful invasion of Egypt and of the Middle East. And I think that the battlefield support doctrine is, I think, the best the best branch that excels in this, especially if you go on the right hand side here, dive bombing experience, and then I was thinking, yeah, the formation flying from this air superiority attack, and then the ground support integration. Engineering. I think that for Italy, the only the most important, let's say, doctrines researchers to do here are the computing branches, yeah, the electronical engineering branches, just to give you this nice research speed. Yeah, the atomic research is nice for this 2% of research speed, but I would not really invest in it, because you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 research slots. So here you really have to pick wisely what to do. If you have spare time, I would invest in HQ communications, divisionals, HQ radio, corps HQ radio, and maybe infantry radio. I will go with the truck radio in case you will use, let's say, a more fast based approach to war, like what I would like to do in this campaign. And then the last one, I think the most important one of all, is the industry branch of the tech tree. And here, as always, I would say pretty much Italy needs everything. You need the construction technologies to unlock for sure the civilian works, the excavation technologies, which are really nice for this 10% of resource gain efficiency. It's really hard because you would benefit a lot from these infrastructures bonuses, especially to reduce supply consumption, increase factory output, as well as dockyard output. The road network is interesting, especially because of the organization loss when moving here, and all the bonuses related to the production. And then you have these agricultural advances technologies that will increase your weekly manpower. That's always nice, and reduce the consumer good factories. And then you have this education system that will increase your research speed by 1% per each level. And then you have the choice between concentrated and dispersed industry. I always like to go with the concentrated industry, mainly because of these max factories in a state, that it's plus 10%, unlike plus 5% in here. You have the factory technologies, which again, in the long run you will just benefit from them. Of course, you need to invest time in those, and it's really a hard choice that you guys have to make. So to recapitulate, in terms of research in Italy, what you should focus is the army, a few support companies, tanks if you're brave and crazy enough, light artillery, grand battle plan doctrine, light cruisers, super heavy battleships and carriers, close air support, light fighter, naval bombers. I would go with the battlefield support, computing technologies, radio if you have time, and then the industry. Just focus a lot on the industry. And in terms of construction, so because of this horrifying minus 15% of quota 90, your construction speed is very much crippled, and that's why, as I told you at the beginning, one of the, let's say, prioritization that you have to do is really to get rid of this by going on the lower the quota and banking reform branches of the focus tree. You should only spam at the beginning military factories and naval dockyards. That's because they are both faster to be produced compared to the civilian factories, and second, that if you go in the economical branch of the focus tree, you will already gain quite a few civilian factories for free, especially if you go, I think, with the industrial triangle, you will get 5 of them. And so I think you should not invest too much in civilian factories. Construction wise, I think it's nice once you developed the infrastructure technologies to improve your infrastructures, especially in the provinces with resources in them, as well as in the North African theater, because this will make your supply situation much easier. Infrastructures, dockyards, military factories. Do not forget to expand the naval bases. Naval bases here in Tripoli and Benghazi. Tobruk, I would say, I don't know. If you plan to hold out Tobruk, I would say yes. Otherwise, I would not really put too much effort into expanding the naval facilities in Tobruk. Fewer silos, yes, they are nice. Maybe 3 or 4 of them between 1939 and 1940. And once you will have the synthetic rubber refineries, again, just build 3 of them in at least 3 or 4 provinces. Because I fear you will need rubber, especially if you want to produce lorries and planes. Because in single player, Germany will hardly give you anything. Construction-wise is discussed. Production-wise, so as I said at the beginning, one of the goals of Italy is to gain control of the Mediterranean, and to do so you need a powerful navy. And to get a powerful navy, you get carriers, light cruisers, and super heavy battleships. In terms of production, you should combine, let's say, the bonus of the research speed here for the ships to develop as soon as possible the super heavy battleship. And once you have them, I would really produce 4 of them, because I think they are quite powerful and they will help you in gaining the upper hand in the Mediterranean against the Royal Navy. As always, I'm talking from the side of a player who is really dumb in playing any nation with a navy, so I have to try this strategy out. I tried it in multiplayer. It kind of failed to work because I forgot to, let's say, reshuffle my fleets. But yeah, let's say I'm confident that if in single player you manage to field 4 super heavy battleships, you can get the upper hand on the Royal Navy. And this is, I think, the only exception in which I can give you a timed option. So if you start with the Royal Navy and then you start researching the super heavy battleships, by early 1937 you should have already the technology to research. I mean, you should have completed this tech, and you should already put into production these 4 battleships. And to make them into production, just do let's say like this one, pick, and then again another one, and this for basically 4 times. And yeah. As Italy, you don't have a very strong, let's say, production capacity. You should really limit to your production to what you will need. So for sure, infantry equipment, support tools, armored cars. Let's see if you really need them. Cars and bikes and trucks are a must. Light artillery, anti-tank guns, and pack artillery for sure. Pack artillery for your mountain divisions. Uniforms, yes, of course. Radio, yes. Horses, yes. And as I said, close air support, yes. Fighters, yes. Interwar bombers, I would not waste my time and factories on this one, but I would rather invest them in naval bombers. And the last, I would say the most critical aspect of Italy is the division organization. It's a mess. I personally find it a huge mess. You start with 19 light infantry divisions, 11 militia divisions, 9 garrisons, 5 mountaineers, 3 light tank, and 2 motorized infantry divisions. the motorized infantry divisions are here on the Somalian front, and they're called exactly the first raggruppamento celere, the first fast group and the second fast group. This, let's say, mess reflects very well the strategy that our generals had really before and during the early phases of the Second World War. As many of the generals who fought in the Second World War also fought in the first one, they remembered that the First World War was fought mainly against Austria-Hungary on the Alps here, in this region here. So it's kind of you may be surprised to see that you have this Divisione di Fanteria Alpina, this division of, literally it's called infantry and Alpins, because it has mixed between light infantry and mountaineers. Then you have the infantry divisions, and then you have the Alpine division. So I know it's weird, but this is how the Italian army was organized. We have the mountain, this is called, officially these are called the mountain infantry divisions. Then we had infantry divisions, and then we have the Alpine divisions. So find something that is more confusing than this one. Yeah, I will give you a prize for this. And then, in addition to this, we also have, besides the traditional infantry divisions, we also have the binary division. I think this was one of the worst, if not the worst, mistake done by one of our general, Alberto Pariani, who in 1938 promoted this reform to just convert the canonical infantry divisions with, let's say, a triangular division into a binary one, because he thought, okay, we have less troops, so the troops will be more mobile, and we could, let's say, better handle them on the battlefield. The only problem was that by removing one infantry regiment, our divisions were really crippled in terms of firepower. So, as you will need, as I told you at the beginning, when you will fight the Ethiopian War, you need to milk a lot of army experience to reform the Italian army. What I personally like to do is to get rid of this and focus exclusively on the infantry divisions. And one thing that you should do is to convert all of the light infantry battalions into proper infantry ones, like this one. So indeed it has increased the organization, the HP, soft, hard attack, blah, blah, blah. Also the supply use, as well as the amount of equipment that you want to have in here. I know, but between light and normal infantry, I would rather go with normal infantry. In terms of division composition, I still have to find the optimal TOE for my infantry divisions, but still I would recommend going with light artillery. Exactly, yeah, with light artillery. And either to go with the one light artillery and one anti-tank unit, or I was just playing around to see how much the stats would change, or you can go with one light artillery and one anti-tank, or with 3 artillery and 1 anti-tank. These will go, let's say, a bit above the 22 combat width, the 20 combat width. It's really up to you guys if you want to invest more in firepower or just to have more divisions on the front line. And so the CCNN means Commissionere, the black shirts. I really don't know what to do with them. The fast divisions. This is just laughing. This is just incredibly non-serious. You got to mix cavalry, armored cars, motorized infantry, and light tanks within the same division. No. So the cellular division will have to be reshaped for sure. And one idea that I had was to convert this into an armored division and to use this raggruppamento celere, the fast groupment, yeah, converted into a proper motorized division. So if you go in the focus tree, and if you go here on the Italian tank division, here you already will gain a free template consisting of 2 light armor, 1 medium armor, and 4 motorized battalions, and then 2 armored car, 2 motorized artillery, and 1 motorized anti-tank battalion. Now, if I try to represent this in the fast division, it will basically look like this. So you have a 19 combat width division with a, I would say, decent stats. However, let's say with this current doctrines and blah 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 whatever, the only negative point of this division is its very low organization. As a general rule, when you play the Total War mod, you want to have at least above 30 of organization. Otherwise, your troops will just shatter and they will be forced into a rout once they are attacked by the enemy. In the focus tree, besides this, I think there is down here modern army that will replace the Italian leadership stuff. Here around, exactly, you have the desert warfare exercises. You have the rapid warfare, German tanks, Karitedeschi, and then you have the northern tank division. Let's see how does the template look like. Okay, so it looks like this. It's definitely slightly better in terms of firepower text, but still with the current technologies, it's definitely a no-go, with the goal of having at least org above 30. Although this resembles a bit, let's say, my efforts to build a division like this in my, let's say, Germany campaign that I just finished in the last episode. This was really the idea that I had in mind, of having a panzer division with at least 5 medium or even 4 medium tank battalions, 3 or 4 motorized or mechanized, even better, battalions, and then just self-repaired artillery and tank destroyers instead of motorized artillery and anti-tank units. Maybe one important thing that I forgot are the support companies. You want to have, of course, the HQ, engineers, recon, and hospital. For the infantry divisions, I would go with the semi-motorized logistics company. It's a good compromise between the reduction in supply consumption and the usage of lorries, and then desert support units for the units that will actually fight in the desert. For this, you can just even maybe duplicate the infantry template, and then just one it can be renamed as NA, North Africa, while the other one can just remain unchanged. And if you want to build a, let's say, alright, it's just this one. Okay, so since I would like to go with the fast approach, this focus already will give you this modern Cheddarah division that I would say could look like this. That is quite, let's say, nice in terms of firepower, organization. For sure, that's really nice. And I think the only problem of this, let's say, structure of the division is that you need to use quite a lot of lorries, which is basically 1,000 units per division, without including all the other support units that you will have to include in this template. So yeah, now you understand why I said at the beginning to oops, sorry, I had I did some fast research here. Yeah, and that's why at the beginning I said to invest a lot in the synthetic rubber refineries. And I would say the garrison template, it's fine. Maybe I would just add one extra garrison and replace the recon with the engineers for the extra defense bonus, and just put them here. Is single player, so you can focus only on defending your ports here, just to prevent the AI from landing and securing a breachhead. Let's say, and then I stop. I swear to you, the idea with Italy that I plan to have, or that you should have, is to first of all finish the Ethiopian war, send some volunteers to Spain. Ideally, you can send these Cheddarah divisions, and then in the meantime work on expanding your industry and army, air force, and navy. And then once you join the Axis, you should really focus on launching the invasion of Egypt. If you are brave enough to develop the San Marco regiment, which will require to invest first of all in the amphibious warfare equipment first, you can even try to perform an amphibious invasion, maybe at around this area, to distract as many Allied troops as possible from here. I know some of you already told me that they tried to do this and it failed. So I'm really tempted now to do the same in my next campaign, so to really develop a small amphibious force together with a small fast army, and then just cripple the enemy supply lines by landing in Palestine and then just advancing into Egypt. And I think that's all. As I said, this was not meant to be a step by step to do or not to do list with Italy. Just to give you my ideas, my impressions on the strategy to use with this country. If you have any idea, any comment, just let me know in the comments below, guys. And yeah, with this I would say I'm finally at the end of this very long video, long and exhausting. And yeah, so I will maybe make another video before going home to Italy for the Christmas holidays, because I think it's time to update you again on my real life plans, because there is really something big coming for my 2021. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. I'm really happy that you are enjoying the content I'm uploading for you. I'm happy to share my strategies on how to defeat the Soviet Union in 1942, as I just did in my German campaign. And yeah, oops, sorry. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, see you all very soon with the last video of 2020.